Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Thanks everyone for coming tonight. This is going to be a special treat. I'm really excited to have Ryan DeLuca with us, and he has graciously invited us into his home, into his headquarters. And let's hear it for bodybuilding.com. So as you guys know, or may not know, Ryan built this company from start to finish, and he's built this thing to now over $420 million in revenue in 2013. Let's hear it for that. Well, with no further ado, we would love to welcome Ryan, but I'm going to tell you how our startup grind tradition goes. So everyone on your feet. Now here's a little secret. I don't know if Ryan's going to like to tell you this. In another life, Ryan, I heard Ryan say that he would come back and want to be a rock star for 9 Inch Nails. Hey, so we're going to start up and welcome him like it's 9 Inch Nails, Ryan DeLuca.
All right, hello everyone.
Well, thanks for having us.
Of course. I was already here just working out, doing squats, lifting weights, so I figured sometime I'd be here anyways.
So how long have you been in this building?
Actually, only since about August. So we just moved in. I mean, it took us forever to, took us forever to get this place figured out. You know, we were in a bunch of different buildings, and then we finally brought everybody back together with this kind of dream come true.
I've heard our people in the locker room. The bathrooms are over in the locker room, and they're awesome, and everyone's talking about how great it is.
We pay them a lot.
Especially on nights where Startup Bank is here.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it's transformation season, so even here, we have a lot of team members that, you know, they're ready for their big transformation in January, and they get started. And so, I mean, even our gym starts getting more packed, you know, which I'd love to see.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to jump right into it, and I would love to find out more about your childhood. Where did the entrepreneurial spirit in Ryan start?
Well, I think like probably a lot of you in here, you know, I started with just a dream of someday owning my own business, and had, you know, I would sell stuff door to door. You know, we started out selling rocks, you know, at my apartment building, and people didn't like that very much. And so then we said, hey, we're going to sell candles, because we had a whole bunch of crayons. And so we said, hey, let's melt them down and put a little wick in it and sell them door to door. But then we said, hey, we'll make a multicolored, like rainbow one. And so we put all the colors together and found out that makes black. You know, so it didn't work out. But I think, you know, like a lot of people here, I had dreams of someday owning my own business, and, you know, just the idea that I could build something of my own, you know, that makes a difference. And that's what I feel like I've been able to do.
That's awesome. Ryan has a few pictures of his family. You want to share those with us?
Sure. I put together a few things. So just real quick, you know, really the reason why I work so hard, even to this day, is because of my family. You know, like a lot of you think about bringing your family and your wife and your kids to a better life. And so, really, this is my wife, Bryna. I met her junior year in high school here at Capitol High. And so we've been together ever since. She was the new girl in school. You know, she came from Dallas. And so I was the first guy to talk to her. So it paid off. So we've been together, and now we have 3 kids. My son, Raiden, who's 10, who's actually sitting in the front row. He's a future entrepreneur. And my daughter Kyla, and my son Bradley, who's 4. And then to tell a little bit more about myself, other than business and you know, family and working out, I love to fly planes, and so every weekend pretty much we go out of town and fly around. You know, my wife got me flying lessons for Christmas, just out of the blue, like 10 years ago. So it was a total shock. I didn't ask for it, and she just got me just as a taking a chance, and I just totally fell in love with it. And so if it's, you know, the weekend, we're going out of town. In fact, last year, no, there's 52 weeks in the year, we were gone for like 39 of them weekends. You know, so every weekend, we were pretty much going somewhere.
Where are you going?
Where am I going this weekend? Las Vegas, Super Bowl, of course. So this is my son Bradley, and I show this picture because he absolutely loves making protein shakes with me every morning. And so our whole family is really into fitness, and my wife does fitness shows, and my son Raiden does the workouts with me when we're doing like abs at home. But if I try to make a protein shake without him, he gets really mad. You know, he wants to be the one to make it. He wants to be the one to stir it all up. And so if I don't let him do that, he throws a fit. So every morning, this is what we do, and he gets my vitamins out, flaxseed oil, and that's what we do. And I drink most of it, and he drinks the rest. So future bodybuilder. And I got to throw one picture in of my mom, because ever since I got into this business, she's now getting really into working out. So I love to show a quick picture of my mom doing a flex and stuff. She doesn't know this is in here, but someday she'll find out.
She's awesome. I love it. Okay, so I have to ask, I'll stay back here for a second. I saw this picture floating around of you at maybe like your teenage years. So when did you get into bodybuilding?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think we better show these guys this picture.
Should have warned you.
It's awesome.
So this is me in 7th or 8th grade. My friends and I got together and said, hey, let's start working out. Let's, get buff, let's get ripped, we'll be great at football, we'll get chicks. The reason most guys start working out. And so the first thing we did is took a before picture. And so this is, me, of course. And we had to put on the little funny underwear because that's what they did in the magazine. So not sure where we found those, but basically now, at almost every company event, I swear, somebody gets to surprise me with like a full-size cutout of that, which I thought I was trying to make this thing go away, but I can't.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about the early days? So you started at 14, you started getting interested in bodybuilding, and then start where that transitioned into what's now become bodybuilding.com.
Well, I just happen to have some slides for that too. Wow. So around 1995, I was in high school at Capitol High. I said I graduated in 1996, and you started to hear about the internet. You started to hear about sites like Yahoo, so you can see the first version of their site here. And I would go over to my wife's house, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and just hang out while she would go work at TCBY over on State Street, and I would just hang out at her mom's house and just study the internet. Because she's the only person I knew that had an internet connection. And so I got really into it with the idea of maybe someday doing something, so I learned how to create web pages and things like that. And then around 1996, you started to hear a lot more about e-commerce. So this is Amazon's first version of their website. And so, yeah, it's very nice.
Who remembers this? Yeah.
You people, Brayden, you remember this? No. So I said, okay, I had this love of working out and this love of business and the idea of starting a business and getting into a love of computers and the internet. And so then I created a little small business where I basically just helped people to create sites and to get search engine traffic. So before people knew about search engine optimization, I was helping with that. And they would just give me a commission of everything that we would sell. And so I was just working at home in my underwear and started, make a bunch of money. And my mom started wondering what was going on. But it was starting to work out pretty well. And I really feel like I was just learning a lot about internet marketing. And so this is the first site I created for selling products. So I got tired of just selling other people's products or just sending traffic there. And so creatine came out. So creatine is all natural, safe muscle building product that is still super popular today. But when it first came out, you could go to GNC and buy it for like $120 for a month's supply. So it's really expensive. So I said, okay, well what if I could buy it from a manufacturer, put my own labels on it, and then use some of the internet marketing techniques that I've learned and sell it online. And so I started doing that. But at first, I would check my P.O. box every day because I could only accept orders by check a money order because it's very difficult to accept credit cards back then compared to how it is today. And so every day I would go to the post office and put my little key in the door and open it up. And every day there were no orders. And so I started getting a little frustrated. Like months would go by. And then I almost gave up, went on a vacation with my family for a week, came back and said, I better check it one more time. So I went there, put a little key in the door, opened it up, and there was one piece of mail. And it was from the post office though. And it said, we have so much mail for you, it's in a bag in the back. So finally something clicked and we started to get orders. And so I hired my little brother Jeremy, who was still in high school, and I said, okay, come over to my house in my garage and we'll pack up the orders, pack them into my Blazer, and drive to the post office every day. So around that time, I noticed that the name bodybuilding.com was owned by somebody, but was not being used. So I emailed him and I was like, hey, tell me the name. And at first he said, no, I'm not going to do it. We're going to use it. So I was like, well, that's a bummer. But about a year went by and he still wasn't using it. And so I was like, dude, this is a good name, but sell it to me. And so we went back and forth, and finally, and I remember getting the email, he said, yes, it's yours for $20,000. And I started running around the house like I just got called down on The Price is Right. It's my favorite gift on the whole internet. You gotta watch it again.
I love the slow-mo.
So basically that is what got us started. So kind of a funny story about that name too, is I bought it for $20,000 and my dad was very mad. He was like, what did you buy? Some name, you just wasted $20,000 on that. And funny story is, a couple years later, I hired him. And a few years ago, he retired. And now there's pictures of him on Facebook in Costa Rica under the waterfalls, retired. Like he's having a good retirement, so he owes me. So really quick, I'll give you a quick timeline of what happened. So that was 1998 when I got the name. April 13th, 1999, that's when we put the first version of the site up. 2000, we moved out of the first, is this thing kind of breaking up though? First, we got our first retail store, which we still have over on Milwaukee and Fairview. And so that was the first time we moved out of the house, and we put the little warehouse in the back of the store. So my wife was happy to get everyone out of the house. In 2001, we were already up to $5 million a year in sales. We opened up a Florida distribution center, to have faster shipping for our customers, because these products run out every 30 days on average, and our customers want them quickly. And so the only way to do that, other than upgrade them, to overnight or 2-day shipping, is to have a DC closer to them. So that's what we did. We opened that up and basically had no plan, had no idea what we were doing. Told my friend, hey, here's a U-Haul, pack it up with a bunch of stuff, and drive it to Florida. With really no other plan. Like it was that ridiculous. And we had no systems, and it was difficult to find systems like back then for this kind of stuff. So we basically would just fax the orders back and forth. So I would print out the order from QuickBooks, fax it over to them. If they had the inventory, they would fill it. If they couldn't, they'd send it back to us, and we would try to fill it. And if we couldn't, we just put it in a little back order pile. So that was our database, a little pile of back orders. The reason why I like to tell that story is because I love the fact that we moved so quickly. And that's the cool thing about being an entrepreneur and having a small company, is that big companies take a long time to move and to make decisions. And when you're small and you see a customer need, you can just move quickly and take care of it. And bigger companies can't do that. And I feel like that's my challenge now, as we've gotten bigger, with 800 team members. How do we make sure that we continue to be fast and agile and be able to see a customer need and fulfill it without thousands of spreadsheets and PowerPoints and analysis, to where the point is, after we've gone so many years of just analyzing we should do it, that our competitors already done it. And so that to me is an example of something we can continue to do. So 2002, we grew to $10 million a year in sales, up to 5,000 articles on our website, over 3,200 SKUs. 2003, up to $60 million a year in sales. 2004, we opened up a new warehouse in Boise. We kept moving every year, basically. And we're up to $32 million a year in sales, shipped 441,000 orders, added more content, more SKUs to the site. 2005, $47 million a year in sales. We became an Inc. 500 winner, so one of the 500 fastest growing companies in America. We're at number 152. In 2006, $65 million a year in sales. We were a 2-time Inc. 500 winner, and as you read with my bio, I was named one of the top 5 coolest entrepreneurs under 30 by Inc. magazine, which I no longer qualify for. 2007, $91 million a year in sales. We opened up a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania distribution center for super fast 1-day delivery to our Northeast customers. So if you order by 6:30 p.m. today, Eastern time, your order's going to ship today, with only about 3% of the orders on back order on any given day. And you're going to get it the next day by round rates. And that's that kind of wow experience that creates loyal customers, which is what we need. And it also gets them to tell their friends about us. So a big thing also back then is that we sold the majority interest of the company to Liberty Media. And so that's our parent company today. They own 90% of the business, and I own the other 10%. And so a lot of people ask me, especially entrepreneurs, like, why sell any part of the business? Especially when we were growing. like crazy, and we've been profitable since the beginning. And the reason is because, you know, that first picture of me in my underwear, which you guys are all going to get a copy, by the way, so don't worry.
Signed copy.
Yeah, signed copy. No one ever accepts on Twitter. They forget. I think everyone forgets. But that was in my garage growing up. And my mom, she was a single mom with 4 kids, working as a checker at Albertsons. And so we ran out of space in the house, so I moved into the garage with my bed. And so we didn't have a lot. And I remember my mom crying over the bills every month. And so that had an effect on me. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, I've got this almost $100 million a year business that I started. And what if something happens? You know, what if, you know, who knows, competition takes us over, or just, you know, something we can't continue. And then I would be, you know, feeling like I wish I would have done something. So honestly, and this is what I tell everybody at our company, it was for financial security for my family, you know, my dad and my brother, who I'd given some equity to. But the other thing was, I didn't feel like I was done. And so I wanted to find a company that could help us continue to grow. And so Liberty came to us. You know, Liberty Media is in Denver. They are run by the billionaire John Malone, who basically started the cable industry in the 1990s, you know, competing with Ted Turner. And now he owns QVC, the Atlanta Braves, majority of XM Sirius, a chunk of Barnes & Noble, Stars Network, a whole bunch of cable companies around the world, and then the small e-commerce companies like us, ProFlowers.com, Backcountry.com, and Buy Seasons, who does buy costumes. And so they promised me, which is something that's very difficult, that if they were allowed to buy us versus others, that they would be hands-off, and they would let us continue to be entrepreneurial. And, you know, a lot of times that doesn't happen. Companies come in and buy out a majority, and then they say, good job, entrepreneur. You know, they pat you on the head, that was good, we got it from here. They bring in all the MBAs with their spreadsheets, and they don't care about customers, and they don't care about the mission, and then what happens with the company? It becomes mediocre. And so they promised me that that was not going to happen. And they kept their promise. That was back in 2007, so they've been great. We're part of the Liberty Interactive stock tracker. We'll be part of Liberty Digital Commerce next year. So continuing on, we grew to 129 million in 2008, 2009 up to 149 million, 2010 196 million, 2011 250 million, or like I told all my expert friends, $250 million. And we launched our new store platform. So even though our site, people loved our site and we were growing that fast, we completely gutted the entire e-commerce platform that had been built a lot by me in the beginning, you know, with the Programming for Dummies book right here next to me, writing live code, you know, and then refresh the page, if it doesn't work, undo really fast, you know. And so like a lot of people, you know, yeah, which I love that I did that. You know, I couldn't find anybody that could help me with that kind of stuff, so I felt like I had to do it myself, and nobody could do it the way that I wanted it, felt like. And so built a bunch of stuff, and it allowed us to move quickly, and I learned a lot about technology. But we got to a point where there's a whole bunch of just spaghetti code everywhere, things, you know, a couple people here from IT. Sorry, Ben, about all that back there, Badger. So we had to replace all that. And so, you know, when you go through a major effort like that, replacing an entire e-commerce platform on an existing business, everyone always says it's like trying to change out one of the engines on an airplane while you're flying, you know, so it's difficult. And so we did that. But the good thing was we spent 18 months and millions of dollars. But when we launched, at the next month after that, we had a record in sales again. So it was a big, successful effort. But now we've been able to do a lot of the things that we wouldn't be able to do in that other platform. And so I think investing into our future is something I still strongly believe in. 2012, it's a little out of date, but we actually hit $320 million a year in sales. We have our 3PL in the Netherlands, so third-party logistics, and we opened that up. And then we continued to work on our body space re-platform. And then in 2013, she mentioned up to $420 million in sales. So we added a $100 million business on top of that other business. And then this year our target is 504. So $500 million.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a great, you want to talk hockey sticks right there. That's amazing. Okay, so walk me back through the first days. So you're with your brother, you guys have started up. How long before you hired your first employee?
So it was before my first employee, which she'll be mad if I said that, my wife. She wasn't my employee, I was her employee.
Well said.
But yeah, We did it together at first, and so I taught her how to create some web pages, and she would help with filling the orders and things like that. When it got to be a little bit too much, that's when I hired my brother Jeremy. And I also hired my cousin Travis, because he's the only person I knew that knew HTML. So right off the bat, but it was, but they were, very, they either weren't paid or it was low pay, so this was the only way we could do it to begin with.
Out of love.
Exactly, yeah.
So how many of you guys here are working on your own business, starting your own business, or you have your own business going? Okay, that's a good number. How many of you guys have an idea of something you'd like to do? Nice. How many of you guys are investors?
What do you quantify as investor?
Skin in the game, I like it. Are you a Liberty Media type investor? There you go, Dan. So when you're hiring in those first few stages, and those crucial first employees and those hire-ons, what was your strategy? How did you find talent? You're here in Boise, talk me through that.
I love the idea of finding talent. We didn't really just hire my friends. So there was some talent, not a lot, but honestly, it was in my garage, and post after that, it was really anybody that I could find. I didn't know how to recruit. I didn't know how to find talent and do that. We didn't go the venture capital route. We all started with our own money and bootstrapped it, from the very beginning, and just invested with cash flows. And so at first, it really was just my friends. And of course, the good thing about friends is they're either gonna be the best team members that you have, or the worst. And so they're sometimes the best because, hey, we're doing this together, we're friends, I don't want to let you down. Sometimes the worst because, oh, that's my buddy Ryan, I don't have to listen to what he says. And I'll never forget the first time I left the office, let them work without me, and I had to turn around because I forgot something, and they already were all leaving and weren't doing what they were supposed to do, So it was a little bit frustrating, but we did have some good people, good friends that are still with us, for today, and we're there for the first 10 years or so.
That's awesome. So what do you do when you put all this investment into an employee and you start to see a personnel crisis or it's not working out? How do you handle this?
So that was some of the hardest things I had to do. To be honest, and we all know that, the people aspect of it. I remember getting together, we'd go to Sherry's. That was where we'd come up with ideas. We'd go to Sherry's, and we would stay there drinking coffee and be high on caffeine until 4 a.m. or until ever, as long as we could stay. And just coming up with ideas and notebooks. And I loved it. Oh, we can do this on the side, we can do this on the side. What I never thought about was, how am I going to deal with two employees fighting with each other? Or somebody that is, stealing, and causing some other kind of problems. And so I think that was something I was very naive about. I wanted to build a business, and I wanted to serve customers and create something, and I wanted to bring people together with me. And when you're not ready and prepared for some of the dynamics of a growing company, it can be tough, So I think, if anything, the thing I've learned the most about business is how to deal with those kind of things. And the number one thing that I say now is that as soon as I start seeing somebody causing drama, they have to go, or negativity. And everybody says that. But think about how difficult that really is when this person's doing a good job, or they're a really good programmer, or they're great at, whatever they do, right? And man, they're always negative, and nobody on the team likes them, and or they're in my office all the time, upset and complaining about things. And I remember thinking, man, I want to be a good manager. I'm going to help this person, and I'm going to make it right. I'm going to make it a great experience. And some people that works. But I found that there's drama or negativity, you will never fix it. It will just continue until it gets worse and worse and worse. And so, to be honest, what I do now is the second I see a tiny bit of little drama, that person has to go, because I've never seen it end well. And so I think that's something I think everybody should understand, but it's really hard to do in practice.
That's very interesting. So one of the things I love is that you go and you actually talk to every new hire that you guys have. And you'll even fly out to your distribution centers and go meet all the new hires, right?
Any excuse to fly.
To fly yourself?
Yeah, of course.
That's awesome. So one of the things I love, though, is you guys at bodybuilding.com have a very clear mission. And you have very clear directives that you give. Probably one of the most clear I've ever seen in a corporate environment. And talk us through that and what you've learned through the years, because I think it's fascinating.
So me, I'm just honestly the type of person that just, I want to help customers and I want to help people reach their goals because that was me. Like I remember what it was like to be that kid that didn't feel good enough, didn't feel like I could get the girl or she'd make fun of me or I couldn't get on the football team or those guys were stronger. And I understand what, I remember those feelings and that's what our customers feel. And I always say that they don't come to our site every day because they just want to buy some powder or pills. They didn't just wake up and want to do that. They woke up this morning with an emotional need. They saw their parents struggling with diabetes and they realized they were going through the same, they were going to go through the same thing. Or they didn't feel good enough, or they felt like their parents weren't proud of them, or they were trying to play with their kids, but they got too tired and couldn't. They have an emotional need, and they go online and they want to get help. And they feel like this is the way to do it. If I can get fit, if I can get healthy, if I can lose fat, if I can look better, be more confident, then I'm going to be able to live that life. And so when I think about everything that you guys see here, you know, all this, the gym and the building and everybody's paycheck, like everybody knows it, right? But if you really think really hard about it, every single cent comes from our customers. Like this was paid for by a customer buying something on our site. And but I take that to heart and I take it very seriously. And I want to make sure that all of our team members do. And so that's why almost every day I send out emails to the company of testimonials from our customers. And I mean, that's what's so cool. Every single day, we're working hard on all these initiatives and customers are thanking us, like, you've changed my life. Like, I'm living better and I was struggling before and now I'm not. And that is just every single day, those emails coming through or in person. So what I really try to do is spread that message to everybody because they're the ones doing the work that's making that happen. And so, you know, everything starts with our mission. You know, we help our visitors reach their health, fitness, and appearance goals through information, motivation, and supplementation. You saw it out there in the lobby as you're coming in, and the commitment wall, which every team member has signed. And so I make sure that every communication, every presentation I do about anything, you know, to the company or to a bigger group, starts with our mission, and reminding them of that. And I will not make any decisions if it goes against our mission. And I even ask people in new hire, and you saw it. And every single team member goes through new hire, and I give them every single one of them a presentation, make sure we start on the right foot. Is if you see me or anybody in the company doing anything that does not support our mission, tell me. I need to know, because it'll start to get where more and more people are just here for, you know, as we grow, just their careers and things. So that I feel like I push that the hardest. I feel like that's my #1 job.
I think that's excellent. I think that's really good. Okay, so talk me through, if we go back a few years, you start to find out you're being investigated and the fund legal that starts to flow. Talk me through
What
that.
did that happen?
What kind of rumbling on maybe Wikipedia?
By the way, nobody should subscribe to that statement. Just cancel. Nothing in there is true.
So talk me through your mindset right at the beginning, and then, because you guys, it didn't slow your company down one bit. I mean, did you lose any customers? Talk me through that whole process of what happened.
So for those of you that don't know, we had an issue with the FDA where they believe that some of the products that we were selling should not be sold as dietary supplements. And so these were products that were available at pretty much every retailer. You could buy them at GNC, Walmart, Vitamin Shop. For some reason, they wanted to target us. They thought that we were kind of creating the products and things like that. This was only about 60 products out of 12,000, so it was a very small percent. And it was only like 1% of our revenue, so it was a very small thing. But it's never a very exciting, oh, it's exciting. It's never a very fun thing when, you know, all of a sudden you're getting a call, you're at a lunch meeting, there's a bunch of agents here, and they want everybody to leave the building. And so I'm like, okay, that's a little strange.
So my background's marketing PR, that would be the nightmare.
Yeah.
It begins.
Yeah. So, you know, and then the big thing about it is how do you keep things going? Because I knew that this was going to be a long-term investigation. And they told me it might take a year. It ended up taking almost 3 to get to anything. And so, of course, you know, that's, you don't know what's going to happen or where it's going to go. It could go really bad if they want it to be, or it could just be over, you don't know. And so basically we just had to keep it going. And like you said, we tripled in size during that investigation. And it ended up being that, you know, there was really nothing. We obviously did sell the products just like everybody, so they said that we would be fined for that, which our last fine payment is in June, so that'll be nice. But it was, I mean, it's obviously one of the toughest times in my life. But how do we make sure that that doesn't destroy our company? Because of the distraction or just the negativity. And so, to me, I mean, we didn't get any negative from customers. You know, the only negative we got from customers is, why did you remove my favorite product? You know? And it was a little bit unfair because once we removed the products, like the next day, all of our competitors continued to sell them, you know, for another year or two, you know. So it put us at a competitive disadvantage, which obviously was fine. But we just kept on going along and just try to take it out of mind and keep focused on the customers and the mission and our team here, because they depend on a lot of the decisions that I make, and I take that very seriously also.
That's awesome. So when you look and you talk about these sleepless nights, I think everybody in this room can relate to some of those sleepless nights and the thoughts that go through your head, especially when you're looking at your own business. So what have you learned? What advice would you give now looking back and plowing forward?
I mean, I had the sleepless nights earlier too, and you worry there's payroll tomorrow and there's not enough money in the checking account. You know, and you're hoping you're going to get that payment in from the credit card company, because we get credit card receipts, obviously. And so, I mean, I remember sitting there one Christmas. It was like Christmas vacation, you know, and which you don't really get vacations, you know. And I'm sitting there like, man, wouldn't it be so nice to just go work at Micron or HP or something, you know, and not have that kind of stress and be able to just hand the issue off to my boss and then just go home after my 9 to 5. But then I started to realize like that I wanted to have that control, and you start to build confidence over time, because like I said at the beginning, at first you think everything's going to go smoothly, you're going to start a business, we're going to make products, we're going to create teams, it's just all going to be fun. You know, you might have tough competitors, and you might not be able to grow revenue and stuff like that, but you don't think about a lot of these type of issues. And as issue after issue after issue comes, you start to build a confidence that it doesn't matter what the next issue is going to be, because we can handle it. We will take care of it, we will work through it, and if you have that mindset, I think you'll be all right. So I mean, I would lay in bed, you know, sleepless nights, of course, worried about a million things. And I like to say, starting the business in 1999 when the site launched, until this moment, like I've had a kind of a level of anxiety that hasn't left, you know, because it's a 24/7 internet business. So, you know, you're never off. And when you're an entrepreneur, that's how it is. Like, you don't get vacations and you don't get time off, because when you're off, you're thinking about the business and there's issues that are coming up. And so I think you just get used to it. And kind of like marriage.
That's a possible way.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it.
Well, we'll open up to some Q&A from the audience in just a second. The last question I want to ask is, on a personal level, you are extremely goal-oriented as a person, and you drive a business that is almost entirely about a consumer base and their goals. I would love to know what you've learned, what advice you have for CEOs, for people in their personal lives, or even physical goals. You know, like, talk to us about what you know.
Well, that's pretty easy, because we basically set up our entire site around the idea of goal, plan, track, motivate. So we call it GPTM. And so if there's anything I study more than anything, and I'm a big reader, I always tell people I went to the University of Barnes & Noble, is that the difficult thing is, you know, creating new habits, and how do you do that? How do you change your lifestyle, or how do you change your business? And it always starts with a goal. So you have to clearly know what it is, and everybody knows that, but really taking the time to create the goal and get the details and really define what you want to do and set the metrics and the baselines and the dates that you want to get to. And then you got to track your progress, you know, because a lot of people, you can't really tell, especially in some things are easy to measure, like revenue and, you know, and your cost, but other things are just how well the business is doing competitively and a whole bunch of other things, how you're doing with the culture of your company. It's hard to measure, you know. And so the more things that you can measure, and find ways to measure it, and then track how you're doing towards that, it keeps that motivation. And so I'm always frustrated that not a lot of people track their workouts or track their diet, And then I always tell everybody, like, if I told you that here at bodybuilding.com we didn't track our finances, you should probably quit right now, you know, because we wouldn't know how well we were doing. And so if you don't track your workouts, and you don't track your diet, and you're not tracking the changes you make, then you're not going to know how you're doing and what's going to work and what's not. And then the idea also of creating the plan, you know, I guess I've mixed that up, but create the plan, of course, before you track. And really have that detailed plan of what you're going to do. And then how do you stay motivated, you know, with working out, with social, and with your friends, and and the tracking helps with that, but it's also having other centered goals. So it's who are you doing it for? And so when I think about quitting, or when I hear somebody think about quitting, they will, what is your kid going to think about that? You know, when my son Radomir sees me quitting, how's that going to affect him? And that keeps me going, you know. And so I think it's probably a long version of the answer, but you know, it's basically the idea of setting a goal, creating a plan, tracking it, and then finding your own ways to stay motivated.
I think that's excellent. So I would love to turn it to you guys and do a little Q&A. So what you'll do is just stand up, tell us your name and what you do. And if you have any questions for Ryan, we'll turn it over to you guys.
Name's Paul, retired fireman, looking at starting something. 2 questions real quick. One, when did you write your first business plan? What did it look like? And after reading a lot of entrepreneurs who have been bought out, what have you, do you have plans for a second creation that you have in the back of your mind that you want to build besides the bodybuilder?
So for the first question, if you had asked me in 1998 what a business plan was, I would have no idea. You know, it sounds like you write up your plan, I guess, but we didn't really create like an official business plan because we weren't trying to raise money or have investors, and it was really just me and my wife and my brother and stuff. Most of what I've done, and I feel like is the most important thing, and kind of going back to what I said earlier, is setting a bigger purpose for what you're trying to do, to really understand like what need you're trying to meet before the product and before the plan. And so, if anything, I just continue to follow that, what's best for our customers, what's going to help them reach their goals, and every decision we make is based on that. So I mean, my original plan was just, I wanted to create something that would work for me, that I wanted, you know, for my workouts. And I loved reading forums and things like that back then. I had figured out there was better ways to do it. So nowadays we create a lot more plans, of course, but there wasn't really not much other than that. And then second, I want to retire here. I want to, and that's going to be hopefully the day after. I guess I'll retire when I die, because I love what I'm doing, and why would I want to do anything else? And so if that could change, I would say if it stops being fun, or Liberty does come in and want to start taking over and making decisions and taking away autonomy, then I'd probably not be interested in that. But otherwise, I feel like we're on the 80-year business plan, and then after that they can fail. I don't care.
Anyone else?
Yeah, my name's Andrew Wheeler, and I'm an architect full-time, but I was doing local consulting in the around marketing, so transitioned that to e-commerce, and so we're actually in a similar spot. We've already made a couple of sales, and we're launching on Saturday.
You don't sell protein, right?
No.
Okay.
No. It's organic baby products. Okay. So it's a lot of like algal organics and organic lotions and things like that, and just on mom. So being in the e-commerce niche, we're dropshipping in a company in Pennsylvania. So from a customer experience perspective, delivering the package, or speed of site, just in general, anything that you could offer. We're selling education of educating why these products are better, and because we definitely can't compete on price, and we're very integrated in the social aspect of it, optimizing on that. So any advice you could offer, really? That's whether that's kind of the biggest points that come to your mind.
It sounds like you have one of the biggest ones, which is the idea of content, and creating content which will help people understand why they need these products and how to use the products. And I think that's a big thing. The big thing is just carving out a niche that's pretty specific in the beginning. I love that we started with bodybuilding, because there's a million Weight Watchers, weight loss type sites, and everybody wants to go into health and fitness. It's weight loss, because look how huge the market is. But there's so many competitors, and not a lot of people want to start a business around bodybuilding for some reason.
Okay, and how many of your customers are bodybuilders?
And that is an interesting thing, is that a very small percent of our customers are actual bodybuilders, competitive bodybuilders. We've done surveys, and it's only 8% of our customers have ever competed or want to compete. Like if you were to look at our customers, they basically look just like you. You know, people that are in shape or desire to aspire to a high level of fitness. And so it's the people you see in the gym every day, you know. And I always think we are the biggest market there is. Like I always want to talk to somebody like, is there anybody in here that doesn't want to improve the way you look? Maybe lose a little bit right here, maybe gain a little bit right here. Like everybody wants to change and get a little bit better. And so I feel like we're in a huge market now. So, but yeah, it's a small percent. But I think but that's the big thing is like find out where you can do something different, because I think about that too with a lot of different industries. It's difficult to just create the same thing that everybody else is doing. And that's why in the beginning I didn't want to use any website software like off-the-shelf type stuff, and I fought that forever, because as soon as I can buy the bolt-on community, my site, then my competitor can buy that same thing. And it's just going to be a generic experience. And a lot of our competitors have done that. You know, once we started to have a lot of people on our forum, you know, on Body Space, they all were like, oh, we need a community too. And I hear, oh, our competitors started a community. And then somebody would email me, oh, they just launched a community. I'm like, oh, great, now we're screwed, we're out of business. And then I would go look at it, and it was like the biggest piece of rubbish ever. Bolt-on, they bought the software package, and nobody really cares how it's doing. It's just they need to be able to say they have a community. So I think that's the biggest thing, is making sure you do it in a way that's completely different. Like, don't copy what other people are doing, because you'll be another Me Too. And as we all know, there's only going to be a number 1 and a number 2 that are going to make any money in most industries. And then number 3 to 100 will all be fighting it out, you know, for the little bit that's left. And so figuring out a way to be different is the number 1 thing I would say.
Thanks.
And building repeat customers through that, especially in that business.
Right.
Anyone else? Yep.
My name's Warren Ponder. I work for a technology company called VMware out of the Bay Area. I run product management for one of our business units. So you touched on a couple different things, so I kind of have a multifaceted question. You just touched on your community. So it seems like social was a really big part of bodybuilding.com before it really kind of became social. Do you see that as being a strategic portion? And like, was it a strategic decision to go that direction? And do you see it continuing as bodybuilding.com moves forward? And how do you drive brand loyalty to get people to stick there and stay there? So some of your thoughts around that. Second part of that is, you know, you also touched on people tracking, tracking their personal information. So fitness trackers, the IoT, that whole space is getting ready to just completely explode. What do you see as the opportunity for bodybuilding.com in that area?
So first of all, anybody that works at bodybuilding.com knows that I am ridiculously passionate about the community and the social aspect. And the biggest reason is I think it's probably the best way to help you reach your goals, because you can ask people what worked for them. Like, I kind of hate this industry in some ways. Because, have you ever seen an infomercial? You ever seen the fad diet products that the FTC likes to crack down on? And the fad workouts and all these things that come up all the time? That we're known for that. That there's going to be all these products that people are just going to get rich quick, and then they're going to be gone. And then our customers come to us and think, well, why are you guys any different? And then I say, well, first of all, you don't have to listen to us. Just talk to other customers. If I tell you right now, hey, you need to buy this product, you'll lose 10 pounds in 2 days. Eat all the pizza you want. You're like, no thanks. But if your friend came up to you, or let's say you just came up to your friend, you're like, man, you've been like really slimming down. Like, what have you been doing? He said, well, this new product and this new workout, this new diet plan and all I found on bodybuilding.com is like, it's been amazing. Like, you would buy that immediately. And that's how I figure out which products I'm going to take, which workouts I'm going to do. It's the same kind of thing, talking to other people. And so the community, I feel like, does that. Even more important for us, because people can talk to each other and learn what works and what doesn't, and share that information. And the other big thing about it is, years ago, it used to be if you wanted to talk to other people that were passionate about the same thing that you were, you had to physically go to visit them. And now, the idea of bringing those people together online, to me, is very powerful. And I think it's a ridiculously big competitive advantage, because we have people that are loyal to us and that tell their friends about us and spread the word. So that's we're going to continue on that. So on the tracking side, like, I definitely think there's a big opportunity for us. What I like the idea of Body Space in the community and having 1 million people, we have millions of people in our community now, but but let's have 1 million people that are really tracking everything they do. Tracking every rep, every set in the gym, everything they eat, every supplement they take, and then also tracking their weight loss, you know, I don't like to say weight loss, their fat loss, their muscle gain, their body fat, their measurements, and then taking that data set. A lot of it will get through these trackers, the data, and the mobile apps, and then being able to use that for recommendations back to you. So that you can say, what's the best plan for me? And instead of being from a guru or an infomercial or even just a couple of your friends, we'll say, based on 1 million people, here's the best plan for you. Here's exactly what you should do in the gym. Here's what you should eat. And you ate this morning, so we're going to change it for your lunch, you know, just through algorithms and through the data. And here's what supplements you need. In fact, you were using, you know, this product. We have now decided you should be using this one because our forecasts have said you'll gain an extra 0.5 pounds of muscle in the next 6 months using this one versus the other one based on data. And so I feel like the future is going to be where all of us, we already have our phones with us, and we're going to be having a lot of wearable devices. But I think the future is going to be that these are going to be way more than just a personal assistant. It's really going to be like, it's going to run your life, and it's going to bring things to you. Right now you ask it for things, it's going to bring things to you. And so I want to bring fitness and diet and products and programs to people through that. So that's what we're working on. So don't steal that one.
Just looking for validation.
Yeah, that's right.
One last quick question, anyone?
Wes Harris, I do some social media consulting as well. Have you ever considered doing subscription services of miscellaneous products for business intelligence as well, as far as exactly what you were talking about with the working app?
So what do you mean by subscription for business intelligence?
Like a miscellaneous pot of products that's $50 a month, and you get to try a bunch of different kinds, and then every month, yeah, and then every month you get a different set of products.
We thought about doing that with like sample sizes,
Yeah.
you know, and bring, say, basically get a stack of samples of a bunch of different things you can try out every month for a small fee. One of our competitors does that, and you know, that I think they've been semi-successful with that. And right now, we let customers choose a bunch of free samples off the site to throw in their order, and we also throw in just a bunch already, you know, from our vendors, you know, different things. So I think it's something we've considered, but we don't have a lot of big requests for it. It's amazing, like, these are products that are difficult to buy for other people or to choose for other people. And a little quick tip, don't buy your friends fat burners for Christmas. So we sell gift certificates and let them choose, you know. So, but it's very personal. Just this pre-workout versus this pre-workout product, I like the taste of this one, and you might hate it. And so we like to do the sampling idea, but it's hard to just to pick products for people.
Well, Brian, thank you so much. Thanks for letting us come in here. This has been so nice. I just quickly want to say thank you to everybody. We filled this room up. Thanks for coming. We are so excited to be here in Boise. We have a fabulous team. I want to give a big thank you to the Meridian Technical Charter High School for doing our filming tonight. They are awesome. Last week doing some judging for some of their student projects, and it blew us out of the water. These kids are so sharp. It is awesome. So thank you, Lee, and your team. And my guys, stand up. There's Hal, Adrian, Phil, stand up. Matt, there you go. Matt, stand up. Oh, stay up, stay up. Because this is our first event, I just wanted to introduce our team. Phil, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself, 1 or 2 lines.
My name is Phil Monberhe. I'm working for Hewlett Packard right now. And, I'm a Startup Grind Boise chapter member
Straight from South Africa.
from Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. I'm gonna shoot you later.
Matt Messenger, I was born in St. Luke's downtown, and I've made it all the way over to here. I also work at HP.
Via MIT.
MIT.
My name is Adrian Sterling, and I work for HP. And in my past time, I like to meet you guys, fellow entrepreneurs.
Hal, go ahead.
My name is Hal, and I work for Jessica.
That's my husband. These guys are answered really well. These guys are the best team in the world. Majority all engineers, top of the line. They're just the best team. We could not do this without you guys. Thank you so much. And a big thanks to Aaron and Joey and Dylan from your team. You guys have a great team. It's been so nice. They just hosted us really, really well. So a big round of applause. That's it for us. We have networking. You guys are welcome. There's more water back there. But thank you so much for your time. We really
Thank you for everybody
appreciate it.
coming out.
Thank you.
Here at Startup Grind, one of the values that we really hold strong to that sold me on joining Startup Grind is to give back to the community. And one of the best things is Ryan is a fabulous example of giving back to the community. And he's part of Angel Flight that goes and flies people around. And I want you guys to make sure that you have introduced yourself or helped someone in some way tonight before you leave. If you have not, shame on you. Startup Grind is all about getting to know the community and helping each other. We want to see Boise grow, and that's by just growing you guys the best that we can. And any way that any of us can help any one of you, we're there. So thanks again.